Two of the most common trends when it comes to performance management are really one, making reviews more frequent and also making them more casual. So, we live in a world where instant gratification is a time of the current, right? You click, you get an instant like, you post something, comment. So having that feedback, immediate, timely, is going to be very important. The other thing is that you want to have more frequent touch points so that there's not so much anxiety about that formal performance review and that stuffy conversation that might take place. When you have a more organic, frequent check-ins, there tends to be less scripting and more casual, calm conversations, shorter check-ins. But the reality is in our remote environment, the amount of personal touch points have really kind of gone down. They've diminished inevitably. We used to be at work where we'd walk by someone's desk. How are things? How was your weekend? How's your kids doing? And so on. But those human elements have really been removed. So, if we're going to be following up with a team member because they haven't met a deadline or they're really performing less effectively as they used to, instead of sort of trying to improve that performance or correct the behavior immediately, having that human checkpoint and conversation is going to be key, right? Have more compassion. If someone's not meeting their objectives and they're usually a top performer, there's probably a reason why. Maybe something's happening that they're, grandparents in intensive care, or they don't have those resources that they normally would have had for childcare. So I'm telling you this because we really need to make the time to check in with our team at least once every week, every 2 weeks at a minimum. As I mentioned, you have to, I think be more intentional now about having those conversations. Essentially, we would have been in an environment where we could easily walk by someone's desk. So scheduling that in your calendar and making it known that you're caring is going to be really important. The compassionate employer is going to be really going a long way in terms of retention of their team because they're caring. And people are going to work harder towards those organizational objectives. In terms of top tools and HR software, when we talk about performance management, there's a lot of wonderful HRIS systems that have essentially some great systems in place. But if you don't have a process and you're not checking in at least once a year, I think that you need to start there. Never mind about the software. It's not going to make you do it if you haven't had the program or the process in place. So, you don't need to have the fancy tools. Remember that reviews take time. So you really need to book that time aside and start making it a priority to talk to your team. And it can be really simple, right? You can just say, hey, what went well over the last 6 months? What do we need to improve on? Where do you need to develop? How can I help you? And what should we be focusing on next year? Those 3 simple questions are going to be really easy to have conversations, and making sure that you're having those conversations is going to be key in terms of that human element. But it's truly that performance management is a retention strategy. You want your team to progress as your organization progresses. And I said, your team will work hard if you provide them with that compassion and clarity and honest, frequent checkpoints. Keep it simple. Thanks for listening to today's episode of HR Real Talk. If you like what you heard, be sure to hit the like button and leave us a comment below so we know what you think about it. Every week we'll be coming here, so don't forget to follow us to hear more about HR Real Talk and answers to your questions. For a free consultation, visit us at ldhr.ca. We'd love to hear from you. See you next week.